My first period, I was a late bloomer, so it was also, you know, it was hard for me because all my other friends got it before I did.
And was there a lot of pressure there?
Yeah.
I was always embarrassed to go up to girls because they were like they looked like trees to me, you know, and at dances and stuff, I'd be too scared to ask them.
My adolescence was shitty. In a word, I hated it. High school specifically.
It was an awkward time. I mean, I think it's an awkward time for everyone because, I mean, you're going through a lot of changes that you're just not used to.
I think the biggest change for me going through puberty was just that all the guys started liking girls, and I started liking guys.
We've all got real problems, but can't always solve them. We need someone to listen, cause we all need some talking.
Some try to ignore, but we've got to explore. We cannot hide it all away, let's do this together.
Whoa, I'll talk to you,
and you'll talk to me.
we've got to reach out to set ourselves free. Degrassi talks,
Coast to coast, we hear real stories from real people.
Degrassi talks, Degrassi listens.
You're not alone, let's do this together.
Degrassi talks.
Puberty, sexual awakening. The words sound so simple, but the changes our bodies go through and the emotions that go with it can be anything but simple. I'm Stacy Mistician from Degrassi. Some of the feelings we have when we go through puberty can be so strong and so personal that it's hard for us to imagine other people going through the same things. But we all go through it. We traveled across Canada to hear your stories about awakening sexuality.
Excuse me? Can we ask you a few questions for a television show?
Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, cool. Okay, rolling.
What were your memories of puberty?
I was really excited about it because my best friend had developed sooner than I had, and I was like, oh wow, I want to be like that.
The majority of us go through a pretty bad acne stage, and you know, you're really counting the days when you say, oh, come on, what the hell, you know, the party's over, off my face, somewhere else, let's go.
Okay, like zits are a real bummer, but like pubic hair is great. You know, it's fun, you can play with it, yeah.
I just had a lot of mood swings, and like, I mean, I'd be happy one day, and then the next day I'd be really down in the dumps and stuff, and I didn't really like to deal with it at first at all.
In my school, I was in the choir, and I was like a soprano. This is like in grade 7. I was a soprano one day, and like the next day, I was like, they made me a bass. So it was really weird. It just happened. Like my voice just cracked.
So was it a studly thing, trying out your new macho voice?
Well, it was really studly walking around with a voice like this.
It must have been embarrassing.
It was an awkward time. I mean, I think it's an awkward time for everyone because, I mean, you're going through a lot of changes that you're just not used to.
For me, when I was growing up, around 12, 14, I was always self-conscious about my height. I was about 4'8", 4'8.5" in the 8th grade, and everybody was like 5'8", 5'9", and I went to my doctors, and I asked him, I said, is there anything you could give me, like maybe steroids that'll help me grow? And he kind of looked at me and he laughed, and he said, listen, Pat, just relax, you'll grow, you'll be fine, don't worry about it. And I realize now that it was silly of me to worry about that.
But you do worry about these things.
You do, but I think it's more important to worry about, you know, what kind of person you are instead of, like, your outer self. You should worry about your inner self.
My particular concern, I was completely flat till I was 15. And all my friends, I mean, they had big breasts. I was like, nothing. Yeah, and it's hard when your friends are developing faster than you are because you start thinking, you know, what's wrong with me? What's going on? When you start developing, you have to adjust mentally more than physically, because, I mean, that's a bigger deal than the actual physical change.
Distinguished record in city competitions over the years.
Melanie, what are you doing?
You're a boy or girl.
Checking. Checking? My mom won't let me get a bra, which is really unfair, because I need one. Don't you think?
Do you remember your first bra?
Yes. My mom made a complete fool out of me when we went to get it.
The first time I ever bought a bra, I was with my 2 friends, Melinda and Melissa, and we decided that we wanted to be more mature and more, you know, grown up. And we thought a bra would do it. So one day we went to a department store, and of course there was a lot of persuading to go in, you know, who would go in first and would we look funny and all that. And then So we walked in, and we sort of kind of went right through the section and up the other side, because none of us actually wanted to stop and look at the bras or whatever.
Do you have any funny stories about, spontaneous erections, walking around school, walking around school in track pants or something?
Not that I really, no.
Got an erection during gym, during taking a shower with other guys.
For some reason, and don't try and read anything else into this, but I almost always get one in church.
It's awkward standing up, answering a math question on the blackboard. It happens.
Having these kind of weird dreams lately.
So?
Really weird. Kind of where you wake up and you sort of leak.
I think the weirdest thing for me was the wet dreams. That was really weird, waking up in the morning just surprised.
I don't remember what the dream was about. I remember waking up and thinking, whoa, what am I, in Lake Ontario or something?
Yeah, at first it was like, what's going on, man? What's going on here? Why is this doing this?
It was pretty weird. I didn't want to tell my mom or anything, so I got up and changed the sheets all by myself.
It's like, oh, we'll just keep this our little secret here, me in the bed, eh?
Yeah.
Tell me about your first period.
We were in gym class, and we were doing cartwheels and stuff that day, and I actually started my period, and I didn't notice. Somebody else noticed and told me about it. And so I ran into the bathroom, and I cried and cried, and I didn't want to go back to gym ever again. It was so embarrassing.
I got my period, and my mom ran out and told my dad and my brothers about it, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, Mom, no, don't tell them.
My first period, I was a late bloomer, so it was also, it was hard for me because all my other friends got it before I did.
And was there a lot of pressure there?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's also almost worrisome to you because, how come all your friends have it and you don't? And you want something, you always want something your friends have and you don't. And then, so I waited, and then I finally got mine. And when I got it, I was almost proud because you feel so much older and more mature. And it was...
And then you realize what a curse it actually is.
Exactly.
How do you feel about masturbation?
Oh, it's totally cool.
It's cool?
No.
No?
I don't know.
It's great. I love it.
No. X. I think it could, harm your chances of having a child or whatnot. I think, anyway.
What kind of rumors have you heard about masturbation?
Oh, I always heard a guy was different or queer, like all the guys in the locker room. Oh, yeah, well, he must masturbate. He's a nerd. He wears glasses or whatever, that the jock issue, but they're usually the ones that are doing it.
I think there's nothing wrong with masturbation. I do masturbate myself, and I think that my parents were very open about it. They were never telling me there was any shame in my body, and so none of the hair on the palms bit.
It's your body, and if you can't touch it, then how can you feel comfortable with someone else touching you?
Periods, breasts, wet dreams, growing out and up. For some of us, it happens as early as age 11. For others, not until we're well into our teens. But puberty is not just about interchanges. We also start to see the people around us differently.
When you hit puberty, how did your feelings change towards the opposite sex?
Well, before puberty, I didn't really dislike girls. But then I hit puberty and I kind of started to look for different, more specific things.
Guys are just my friends. I didn't think of them as anything else. And then when I reached puberty, it was completely different. I'd start to think, hey, maybe I can like this guy in a different sense. And now it's like, there's a guy, let's go catch him.
And it wasn't a particular guy you were interested in. It was just like a group. I don't think anyone got really focused on one person until later on, until you start Junior high school, maybe high school.
But suddenly, like,
Yeah,
your group
it's
discussions changed from
yeah.
sports or whatever to guys.
Well, it's also a lot of it was just discussing not did we like them, but did they like us.
No, exactly.
I had a fear of guys. I never sort of understood them, their teasing and their way of communicating, and it's pretty much remained the same still, except I guess I'm more sexually attracted to them.
So, you want to go to a movie?
Sure.
So, how about tomorrow night?
Great.
Great.
On this show, your character is, let's say, very awkward when it comes to asking out girls. How do you think you are in real life when it comes to asking out girls?
Well, I'm not one to go out and ask a girl, really. I mean, I've had sort of a problem with that. I'm more of one to let the girl make the first move. I don't think there's any wrong with the girl making the first move, but like if I were at a club or a bar or something like that, like I always expect to make. I look over to see if the girl's looking at me, and I sort of wait for her to make the first move because I'm just not very. I don't like to push things like that.
Are you shy?
I'm not shy. I just. Okay, maybe I am shy.
I was always embarrassed to go up to girls because they were like they looked like trees to me, you know, and at dances and stuff, I'd be too scared to ask them. And this one girl in grade 8 asked me to dance, and she was like the tallest in the class, and I'm dancing with her, my head's in her bosom, you know, like this, and all the guys were like, yo, man, you're lucky, I wish I was your height.
Feelings of sexual awakening can be powerful, exciting, and confusing for anyone. But imagine going through all that and realizing that your feelings are for the same sex.
I think the biggest change for me going through puberty was just that all the guys started liking girls, and I started liking guys.
Within my neighborhood, it was all right because people know you, they're used to you. A lot of them don't want to even admit that you might be gay, and if they do, it doesn't bother them too much because they've grown up with you. You know, they're not going to tease you any more once they find out than they did before. When you step outside of that, though, then you're dealing with all the fear and the homophobia that you have everywhere else.
Hey, what do you think about homosexuality?
I think homosexuality is wrong, and if you want to be a homo, go somewhere else.
I think homosexuality is disgusting and morally wrong.
I think they should be put on an island, drop the bomb on them, tell you straight, man.
There's an episode of Degrassi, actually, where my character experiences some problems with being homophobic. Him and his friends, they joke about it in the hall, and they imitate and stuff. Do you ever have any experiences where the kids in the school have, you know, said things in front of you?
Oh, yeah, high school was hard. There are a lot of gay jokes, fag jokes. You're always being shoved. You're always being talked about in a negative sense. It's never positive. There was this one phys ed teacher who said that, you know, love had nothing to do with homosexuality, and that it was all based on lust. It was all based on sex, and that being the only gay kid in class, like sitting at the back of the class, it makes you feel very isolated and very sort of compounds what society tells you that it's wrong, that it's a sin.
Did you learn anything in school about homosexuality?
No, school doesn't teach you anything like that. Never did. They teach you like one-on-one, they teach you about puberty, and they teach you about men and women, but they don't teach you about homosexuality. Everybody keeps away from that for some reason.
If one of your friends was homosexual at school and they came out of the closet and started telling people, how would they be treated?
Badly. I mean, there'd be so many people that would be after them, it wouldn't be funny.
That person would just be totally isolated with, like, no time.
I don't think there'd be too many people to go around because they think they'd want to pork them or something, I guess.
Yeah, high school, I guess, would be a tough time to come out because you still have all the pressures to do everything like everybody else. There's a lot of peer pressure, so to do something different would be really tough.
That essay you wrote on Native peoples was just excellent.
Thanks.
You're the best student I ever had.
Caitlin's gay, you know. She's a lesbian. Caitlin's queer.
At least 50% of teens wonder at one time or another, am I gay? On the show, my character was troubled by her new feelings of sexuality. When we filmed that episode, I had no idea how close to home it was hitting, and that my own sister was dealing with those very questions. So Karen, tell me, when you saw the episode that I did about homosexuality, how did you feel when you saw that, when you watched that?
Well, I have to admit, it was really hard for me because what I saw you doing on TV was everything that I was feeling at the time. I mean, I had a crush on my high school teacher the same way that you seemed to, or you were reacting to this teacher who everyone was rumoring to be gay. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it was really... I didn't quite know how to deal with it. Part of me wanted to deny that I was having those feelings, and the other part of me felt that I had to admit to it. So I didn't really say anything to anyone after I watched that. I sort of went up to my room and read a book.
So you hadn't, this was before you actually came out as being gay?
Yeah. No, I hadn't come out to myself or admitted it to myself or anyone yet. And it was, I guess it was 2 years after that I finally called you and said, guess what?
Well, coming out is a long process. You come out to other gay people first, then, you know, you come out to people who are in the community or people who you don't know. Then you come out to your parents, sort of things. And so you're always coming out again and again. Every time I change jobs, I'm coming out.
Did you feel pressure to come out before?
No, I felt pressure to deny it for a long time. No one made me feel that it was okay to be gay, especially in high school. It's not something that was talked about, and of course high school kids go around saying things like, oh, that's so gay all the time, and you know, it's used as a pathetic term, so you really feel at odds with it. So, I mean, I went as far as in grade 13, I slept with this guy just to prove to myself I couldn't be gay. But it was much easier to come out after I was in high school, so I really sympathize with, you know, what people go through when they're in high school, and there's no one to turn to at all.
Why are people afraid of homosexuality?
Probably because they're ignorant about homosexuality and don't know a lot about it.
A lot of people just can't understand, you know. People are so set in their ways, and they figure, if I'm a girl and I like a guy, then how come everyone can't just be like me?
A lot of them are really insecure and stuff, and they figure, oh God, you know, maybe he's gonna think I'm gay or whatever. He's gonna make a pass at me, blah, blah, blah. I can't have that. Oh my God, what would I do if he touched my bum? Ah!
People are afraid of homosexuals. They think if they go near them, they're gonna become homo themselves.
You know, the group I'm in charge of, GLABA, the Gay, Lesbian, and Bisexual Alliance.
At your school?
Yeah, we'd been advertising that meeting, and someone put all these things up all over the school saying things like, bring bats, clubs, or any other weapons capable of severe mutilation to our meeting. These warped, perverted, immoral faggots must be stopped from contaminating society any further. Hooray for AIDS. And all sorts of, like...
Hooray for AIDS.
Hooray for AIDS. That's the one that really
Let
got
the
me.
extermination begin.
Yeah.
That is just so... That's scary just because it's so strong.
Yeah, it was scary because the thing is at Glendon,
And so violent.
as you know, it's such a small campus.
Mm-hmm.
For any of us that are out on that campus, anyone whoever did this probably knows who we are. And it'd be so easy for them to just come get us anytime they want to, if they really wanted to. That was their intent. I think that really scared us, and I think it shocked me because I understand people who don't understand people being gay and lesbian. What I have a problem with is the intense anger, the hatred. I don't understand that. Yes. We're people.
On June 21st, 1985, a group of teenage boys decided to go queer bashing. They met a school librarian named Kenneth Zeller in a park and proceeded to kick, punch, and beat him to death.
In fact, I had some classes with 3 of the guys who were responsible for the murder of Ken Zeller. And it was just such an awful feeling to know that I was, you know, sitting in the same class with people who had that capability and such hatred towards people of different sexualities.
One of my friends who I volunteer work for, feels often very upset that I advertise it too much because she's worried something is going to happen to me. And I mean, I worry about that, but I feel like I have to help anyone else who's gone through this. And I also feel like I'd rather live, if it came right down to that, a short, happy life being out and being who I am than I would a long, invisible life. I'm forcing people to talk about it, which to me is very important. It makes me feel better about myself, and a lot of friends who did avoid me when I first told them are now talking to me and learning that it's not such a horrible thing. I'm feeling more like I've got a life. I'm feeling more like someone loves me and I love her. And I don't feel guilty about loving a woman anymore, and I don't feel that it's a horrible thing. My whole life sort of revolves around this person right now, and everything is finally going well, or the way I want it to go.
Have you ever been in love?
I've been in love once. It's funny, like when you're in love for the first time, there are a lot of weird things going through your mind. Like, everything is the first time. All these emotions you're feeling, it's the first time.
You could never even think of the relationship ending, and you always want to be by his side kind of thing, and you never want to, you know, say goodnight or whatever. You just kind of want to always be with him.
Love has lots to do with being gay, like in any other relationship, and you get hurt too, just like in other relationship.
For me, falling in love was something that was really gradual. I mean, it was with someone that I'd been friends with for a long time. So, I mean, it just happened one day. I just went, hey, I'm in love.
I think love is a wonderful thing, and even though my first experience with it was painful, I believe that to fall out of love, you're gonna have to fall in love again, and I'm totally ready to fall in love again.
Discovering our bodies and sexuality is a wonderful thing. It should be celebrated and enjoyed. And remember, no matter what you're going through, you're not alone.
Do you have any advice to young boys who are reaching puberty?
Don't worry, it'll end. You get over it.
Don't be afraid to ask questions that you think are stupid. Go to your sister or go to your mother if you're scared. It's a wonderful thing. Once you get used to it, it's amazing.
And just remember that you are who you are.
We've all got real problems, but can't always solve them. We need someone to listen, cause we all need some talking.
Some try to ignore, but we've got to explore. We cannot hide it all away, let's do this together.
Well, I'll talk to you,
and you'll talk to me. We've got to reach out to set us free. Degrassi talks, coast to coast. We hear real stories from real people. Degrassi talks,
Degrassi listens.
You're not alone, let's do this together. Degrassi talks.